Hi, this is Megan Mitchell. I am a licensed independent clinical social worker in Washington, D.C. And today I am excited to talk to you all about vicarious trauma and what that looks like and how you can prevent burnout in the workplace. So, I think that if you're working with clients, you are bound to work with clients that have experienced trauma. And it's important that as social workers and mental health professionals, we are also taking care of our own needs and making sure that we are practicing self care, setting those boundaries so that we're not getting burnt out, because we know that burnout leads to poor job satisfaction and a lot of job turnover. So, a little bit about me. I am the founder of Agents of Change. We are so excited to launch our training institute. I've worked primarily with children and adolescents. I've worked in a variety of different settings. I currently am doing clinical social work in private practice. I'm also getting my doctorate in social work from SUNY Buffalo. And I have now lived in Washington, D.C. for the past over 10 years, but I originally am from Michigan. So just a little bit about me. And of course, throughout my career, I have worked with clients, families, children that have experienced trauma in a variety of different settings. I have been burnt out. I have experienced vicarious trauma. I've had to process this in supervision with colleagues. So it's something that's really important to me because we want really everyone to be in a place where they can be able to do their best work. And sometimes because we are working with really hard cases, that can be really difficult. So we need to make sure that we are taking care of ourselves and realizing when we're maybe hitting a wall and need to take a step back. So you've probably heard the word vicarious trauma, but you might be wondering what it is. It's often secondary trauma or secondary stress due to the emotional or psychological harm that occurs from working with a client, an individual, a family system who has experienced traumatic events. And there are some practitioners that fully work with trauma. That is their area of expertise. There are some people that work with little t trauma. Those are traumas that, everyone experiences some sort of setbacks, challenges, difficulties. And then there's big T trauma. That is those traumas that are very severe and cause a lot of, like we said, psychological, emotional, or physical harm or impact. It can affect a variety of professions, so it is not unique to social work, mental health professionals in general, healthcare workers. You have to think that a lot of nurses and doctors and medical staff during the COVID pandemic were experiencing vicarious trauma. First responders, so EMTs, firefighters, and of course, those working in mental health field. It also can reach to teachers, educators, people that spend time with anyone that has experienced some sort of trauma is at risk of experiencing vicarious trauma. So, what does it look like? It looks like many, many, many different things. But what it can look like, a manifestation might be nightmares or disrupted sleep, depression like symptoms, so just feeling down, feeling discouraged, just not feeling like yourself. Anxiety, this might include being more on edge, being more hypersensitive, and then also that sense of hopelessness. For me, how I recognized I was experiencing some vicarious trauma and secondary burnout was I felt like I was on a hamster wheel, putting in all this effort, and I was not seeing any results. I felt absolutely hopeless, like I was not able to best serve my clients. So I felt that I was not able to do the work that I wanted, or not able to do the work I was putting effort into. So here is a quick rundown of what we are going to talk about today. We're going to talk about vicarious trauma, what that looks like on both mental and physical health, and how it affects you as a professional. Then we'll talk about ways to prevent burnout, what that looks like, self-care techniques. I know we can, many times we talk about self-care, but like, what does that truly mean? What can you do to make sure that you get out of a situation if it is causing burnout and you're not able to do your best work? Ethical implications. We always want to make sure that the code of ethics is driving the work that we do. Are certain providers impacted more than others? What does that depend on? And then support in the workplace. What can you do when you need to go to your colleagues, when you need to support your clients? How do you reflect? How do you manage this in a world where we now have a lot of hybrid work or virtual work? And then we'll talk a little bit about DEI as well and what that can look like in the workplace. So, vicarious trauma, what might this look like? What are some of the effects that you might experience? Or this is also good to know that maybe you're in an agency where you're seeing coworkers are experiencing this. Emotional numbing or detachment. So maybe you or your colleague just seems a little bit off. They don't seem like themselves, right? Maybe a little bit more withdrawn. Depression and anxiety, that might have been a shift from what you have seen with them prior. Anger and irritability, so maybe appearing very on edge or having a short fuse or just being more generally disagreeable. Difficulty sleeping and nightmares, of course, we know that stress can cause these symptoms. Difficulty concentrating and memory impairment, this might be where you're forgetting details of things. You feel like you're looking at documents or you're reading things and nothing's starting to stick in your brain. That's also poor concentration can be a sign that you are experiencing some vicarious trauma. And then we discussed this before, but a sense of hopelessness or helplessness. And for me, that was, I feel like I'm doing so much with no results and I do not feel effective. And I just feel really down on myself, truthfully, which was not a good feeling to have when you don't feel effective or that what you're doing is even helping. So this is what it might look like, some of the symptoms and how this affects different parts of your life. So you might have difficulty functioning at work, right? Maybe you're missing deadlines, or maybe you're taking more sick days because you're actually getting sick. We know that there is a mind-body connection. Strained relationships, this could be with your people in your household. So maybe you come home and you're really irritable and you and your partner are not getting along, right? Because oftentimes we take this stress out on the people that we love the most. Maybe you're starting to have physical health problems. So are you getting sick more often? Do you feel that maybe your immune system is taking a hit? We know that this is all tied, right? So poor diet, poor sleep, stress, it can all lead to some health problems. And maybe you're just not able to heal yourself because you are so run down. It's important to note that this could be a more of a snowball effect. So it's not as if one day you just wake up and you're all of a sudden feeling different. It usually manifests over time. And this could be, say, a client that you're working with, or maybe you're working in a agency where you're seeing a lot of clients with trauma and you don't even notice that over time you're really burnt out. Maybe you're overworked. Maybe your caseload is too much and it's just a lot to take on. I always tell others, being a mental health professional is very challenging. We hold a lot of space for our clients, and we have to have boundaries, but we put a lot of effort and a lot of our emotional energy into our clients. So like I said, it might be a snowball effect because we do care a lot about the success and well-being of our clients. And what's most important is that you're self-aware. So if you are starting to hit that breaking point, or you're feeling more tired and you're just not feeling like you're your best self personally or professionally, that might mean that you are experiencing some of the effects of vicarious trauma and you might be starting to have burnout due to that. So vicarious trauma is difficult because it often presents like stress or burnout, but there is a different root cause to it, right? It could be because you are exposed to others' stories. You're holding space for those stories. For example, when I worked in a school, most of my clients had experienced trauma of some sort, or they were encountering ongoing trauma. They went back to homes that were traumatic for them on a daily basis. And that really started to weigh on me. I needed to get a lot of supervision. I had to take, time, mental health days, because it can be a lot. So it's really important that you are just tuned in to your own physical body, your own emotional health. And there's those 8 pillars of self-care. That's going to be really important.
I hope you enjoyed this social work CEU preview from Agents of Change. If you're looking to complete this CEU or for more great continuing education content, please visit www.agentsofchangetraining.com. With Agents of Change Training, you get unlimited access to 150 plus ASWB approved continuing education courses for one low annual fee. We also have 5 free CEU credits available too. Check it out at www.agentsofchangetraining.com.